Hello everybody, it's King Jock the Outlaw. Peace, love and respect to everyone. Today I'm going to continue on my Glasgow Gangster series. But it's going to be a little bit different because I'm going to be talking about the ice cream wars, which links in with one of the people that I'm talking about, T.C. Campbell. He was involved in it, so I'm going to go through it now and let you know what's going on. The ice cream wars were tough wars in the east end of Glasgow, Scotland in the 1980s between rival criminal organisations selling drugs and stolen goods from ice cream vans. Van operators were involved in frequent violence and intimidation tactics. The most notable example in which involved a driver and his family who were killed in an arson attack that resulted in a 20-year court battle. The complex generated widespread public outrage and earned the Strathclyde Police the nickname of Serious Crime Squad. Serious Crime Squad. Upon them, Serious Crime Squad for its perceived failure to address them. In the 1980s, Glasgow, several ice cream vendors also sold drugs and stolen goods along their routes using the ice cream sales as fronts. A tough war erupted between these vendors related to competition over the lucrative illegal activity, including intimidation of rival ice cream van operators. During the conflict, rival vendors raided each other's ice cream vans and used shotguns to fire into the windscreens of their vehicles. The peak of the violence came on the 16th of April 1984 with the murder by arson of 6 members of the Doyle family in Marchese housing estate. 18-year-old Andrew Doyle, nicknamed Fat Boy, a driver for the machete firm, had resisted being intimidated into distributing drugs on his run in attempts to take over his run. Resistance that had already led to him being shot at by an unidentified assailant through the windscreen of his van. A further so-called frightener was planned against Doyle. At 2 a.m. the door of the landing outside the top floor flat in Marchese, where Doyle lived with his family, was doused with petrol and set alight. The members of the Doyle family and 3 additional guests who were staying in the flat that night were asleep at the time. The resulting blaze killed 5 people, with 6 dying later in hospital. James Doyle, aged 53, his daughter Christine Harron, aged 25, her 18-month-old son Mark, and 3 of Mr. Doyle's sons, James, Andrew, the target of the intimidation, and Tony, aged 23, 18, and 14, respectively. R.I.P. The ensuing public outrage at the deaths was considerable. Strathclyde police arrested several people over the following months, eventually charging 6. 4 were tried and convicted of offences related to the vendettas. The remaining 2, Thomas T.C. Campbell and Joe Steele, were tried for the murders, convicted unanimously. Unanimity is not required in Scotland, and sentenced to life in prison, of which they were to serve no fewer than 20 years, according to the judge's recommendation. Campbell was also separately convicted again, with the jury returning a unanimous verdict of involvement in the earlier shotgun attack, and sentenced to serve 10 years in prison for that crime. What ensued was a 20-year court battle by Campbell and Steele, one of the more contentious in Scottish legal history, and in the latter words of Campbell's solicitor, Amir Anwar, 20 years of hunger strikes, prison breakouts, demonstrations, political pressure, solitary isolation, prison beatings, and legal fight after legal fight. The Crown's case of Campbell and Steele rested on 3 pieces of evidence. A witness, William Love, Billy Love, stated that he overheard Campbell, Steele, and others in a bar discussing how they would teach Fat Boy Doyle a lesson by setting fire to the house. That was a lie. That he made that up. Like, he's already admitting to making that shit up. Like, he admitted that he made that up to get himself out of another case. And the police stuck it on him. The police stated that Campbell had made a statement recorded by 4 officers that I only wanted the Van Windy shot up. The fire at Fat Boys was only meant to be a frightener which went too far. The police stated that a photocopy of 80 Street map of Glasgow on which the Doyle House and Bank Street was marked with an X was found in Campbell's flat. According to the Crown prosecution, Campbell was a man with a record of violence, having already served separate prison sentences in the 1970s and early 1980s, who had entered the ice cream van business in 1983 and been keen to protect his patch against the rival machete front, and still was Campbell's henchman. A sidekick recruited to help with the dirty work in Campbell's planned campaign of violence against machete drivers and vans. The defence rejected the Crown's evidence during the 27-day trial, and afterwards Campbell continued to assert that he had been fitted up by both Love and the police. Campbell described Love during the trial as a desperado who had been willing to be a witness, pointing the finger at, in Campbell's words, any one of us to avoid going to prison himself, having been granted bail in exchange for testimony. Campbell denied that he had made any such statements to the police, as was claimed, asserted that the police had planted the map in his house, and claimed that when he had been arrested and taken to Bell Street Police Station, a senior police officer had told him, "This is where we do the fitting up. I'm going to nail you to the wall." He stated that at the time of the fire, he had been at home with his wife. Still also gave an alibi for the time of the fire. Time of the fire. After conviction, Campbell still tried to have their conviction overturned in 1989, but failed. Several years later, in 1992, journalists Douglas Skelton and Lisa Brownlee wrote a book, Frightener, about the conflicts in the trial. They interviewed Love for the book, who stated and later signed affidavits attesting that he lied under oath in Love's own words. "I did so because it suited my own selfish purposes. The explanation as to why I gave evidence is this: the police pressurised me to give evidence against Campbell, who they clearly believe was guilty of arranging to set the fire to Doyle's house. As a result, both Campbell and Steele engaged in campaigns of protest to attempt to publicise their cases. Steele escaped from prison several times to make high-profile demonstrations, including a rooftop protest and supergluing himself to the railings at Buckingham Palace. That's where the Queen lives. My wife. My wifey. That's where the Queen lived. Where the royal family lives. Campbell protested while remaining in HM prison Buckingham, going on hunger strike, refusing to cut his hair, and making a documentary. After a lengthy legal argument, the Secretary of State of Scotland referred the case to the appeal court, granting Campbell and Steele interim freedom pending its outcome. The appeal failed when the 3 judges reached a split decision on whether the fresh evidence relating to Love's testimony and relating to a potentially exculpatory statement made to the police by Love's sister, which had not been disclosed to the defence at the trial, would have significantly affected the outcome of the original trial, and thus should be held. Lord Cullen and Lord Sutherland both opted that it would have not, with Lord McCluskey dissenting. Campbell and Steele were returned to prison. Wow, imagine that. It's hot in here. The legal fight continued after further petition was presented to the Scottish Secretary asking for the case to be referred back to the Court of Appeal. Donald Dewar refused to refer the case, because he did not believe that they had presented grounds for a referral of the case to the appeal court. Solicitors for Campbell and Steele then took the case to the newly created Scottish Criminal Cases Review Commission, which took up the case. The Commission plus requested and received material from the Crown Office. It then went to court to obtain further Crown paperwork relating to the case, including government correspondence. The Crown fought against the release of the paperwork on the category as paperwork that the Commission had already been denied access by Scottish executives. Justice Department clerk ruled in favour of the Commission being granted access to the paperwork, stating that the Commission has a statutory obligation to carry out a full, independent and impartial investigation into alleged miscarriages of justice, and that legislation under which was clearly designed to give the widest powers to perform that duty. Appeal. The Commission decided that the case should be referred back to the appeal court pending the outcome of the appeal. Lord Justice Clerk Lord Gill granted Campbell and Steele interim freedom a second time. Well, 3 years later, the appeal was held by the appeal court and it succeeded. Lord Gill, Lord McLean and Lord McFadden quashed the convictions. Wow. You see, that's what needed to be happening, needed to be quashed. That's it, done. Finito. As a result of a hearing, no evidence, and because of what they stated to be significant misdirection of the jury by the judge of the original trial, Dr. Gary McPherson, a consultant forensic clinical psychologist, instructed by the Crown, questioned the ecological validity of the laboratory studies. However, the new evidence, which is not contradicted by the Crown, was from Brian Clifford, a professor of cognitive psychology, who testified that the recollection of Campbell's statement by the 4 police officers at the time of the original trial was too exact, catering on an identical 24-word phrase featured in every account. I only wanted the van when they shot up. The fire part boy was only meant to be a frightener, which went too far. So they're saying all 4 police officers' statements were word for word, and that never happens. Like, you someone walks past and you see someone say, it's like, that person that just walked past, what kind of clothes was he wearing? And you think, like, I've done it, and I think I had a blue shirt on and white jeans, and then you see them and it's like totally different shit, do you know what I mean? So it's like for them, all 4 of them, for all 24 phrases to be the exact same letters, like it was all the exact same words, do you know what I mean? That's when you know someone's making up. The police used that against us, do you know what I mean? When we're making it up because the stuff that we talk about, like, see, with 3 of my friends, we commit a crime. If all of our stories fit the same together, like, they're gonna know we're talking shit about how all your stories fit the same. People say, well, if they're telling the truth, it's gonna be the same. But nah, people have always got little different tells. People tell stories in a different way. Like, I'll tell my story different to the way someone else will tell theirs. Like, I talk different, you know what I mean? Like, everything's different, and that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing being different, you know what I mean? It's like, it's good being different, man. So, it's too exact. The fat boy was only meant to be a frightener. Clifford performed studies where he tested people in Scotland and England on their ability to recall a statement that they had just heard. His results were that people only recalled between 30 and 40% of the actual words they heard, and that the highest score obtained by anyone in the experiment on a 24-word phrase was 17 words out of 24 used. He stated that these results strongly suggested that it was not at all likely that the officers would be able to record Campbell's statement in such similar, strongly suggesting that it was not at all likely that the officers would be able to record them in terms without having compared or collaborated on their accounts. The appeal judges concluded that any jury hearing Professor Clifford's evidence would have assessed the evidence of the arresting police officers in an entirely different light, and that the evidence is of such significance that the verdicts of the jury have been returned, and ignorance of it must be regarded as a miscarriage of justice. Campbell, represented by Anna Anwar and Maggie Scott QC, and still were freed. Go on. The original trial, Judge Godkin Craig, who had told Campbell and Steele in court at the original trial, regarded them as vicious and dangerous men at that point in his 80s, and having been retired for 18 years, spoke up against the ruling of the appeal court days afterwards, stating that he could not accept there was a conspiracy among the police at the original trial. He had instructed the jury that to believe Campbell and Steele's assertion was to accept that not one or two or four, but a larger number of detectives have deliberately come here to perjure themselves to build up a false case against an accused person and accused wrongly within the crimes of murder and attempted murder and a murder of a horrendous nature. After the convictions were quashed, he criticised the appeal court for usurping the function of the jury, and the function of the jury is to describe questions of the fact, not law, and that the appeal court seems to have said that evidence is not believable, which is the jury's province. That's a decision. In fact, the Court of Appeals decided, in fact, the jury was wrong. Campbell called for a fresh investigation of the murder of the Doyle family, accusing Tam McGraw, that's the one that just made a video about Tam the licensee McGraw, like the police were letting him away with shit. Like, so go check that video out because I've just done it. Both of the original murders and of instigating a campaign of over 20 years to ensure that Campbell remained in jail was silenced, including repeated attempts on Campbell's life. But commentators considered it unlikely that a fresh investigation would be launched as a result of the convictions being quashed and the fresh evidence that had been presented since the original trial. This was in part because claims by Campbell against a man whom he is regarded as hating are viewed with skepticism. His stabbing in 2002 was believed at the time to be part of a long-running tit-for-tat feud between the two men, and in part because two police officers who had been heavily involved in the case had since died. The body of Detective Superintendent Norrie Watt was found in a fume-filled car. In 1988, Detective Chief Superintendent Charles Craig headed the Criminal Investigation Department at the time of the murders, died in 1991, age 57. You can see one of the top detectives killed himself. That's all they say, like, developments. So yeah, that was the story about the ice cream wars. Like, you know, T.C. Campbell and Joe Steele, like, they both got out and that, but T.C. Campbell died recently and that, like, rest in peace. Peace, love and respect to everyone. Share, like and subscribe my videos in it, and as I said, I got some more coming, like the Scottish Gangster stuff. Like, this was more like just how all the shit was happening and it, like all the ice cream wars and that. I thought I'd cover that, and then I'll go back to covering the gangsters again, because these are all gangsters and good fellas, man. Like, that's what we got on here. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, like I said, like, share and subscribe. Peace, love and respect to everyone. Over and out. King Jock. Booyah.